Hi everyone, I'm Oliver and welcome back to OC Aviary. Now, it's been nearly a week since the Newark show. It was a really good show. I really enjoyed it. I'm going to tell you a bit more about it later on. But what I've got for you today is 4 new birds to take a look at. All a bit of something different, something we've not had before. And it is really exciting, so it's going to be quite a treat for you guys. And then I've got a bit more information to give you just later on in the video, including something that happened at Newark which everyone needs to be aware of, and a few extra different things linked to that. So we'll get right into this video. So for the new birds we've got in, well, we've got 2 canaries which we're going to look at shortly, and we've got 2 birds that you'd put in the native brackets. They're both something we haven't had before, and really something exciting. A few viewers may have seen me at the Newark show come over for a chat, and I might have shown you them if I've had them on me. So, well, let's look at those canaries first, and then we'll go over to the native birds. So this is the pair of canaries right here. This is a pair of Razzas. Now, I believe they're the Spanish Razza. I do believe there's a Spanish and an Italian Razza. I'm not too sure on the difference. So, I'm not a Razza expert. So I got these from my good friend Paul Devereaux. Paul's really helped me out in the past. I'm trying to help Paul out with different things. And we got this pair of Razzas from him. They're lovely birds. So what we've got is well, it's a ticked yellow ticked Razza hen and a buff green Razza cockbird. Paul's bred these himself from some good lines. I really like them, and you might not be able to get quite just an idea of how small these birds are, and I was amazed when I first saw them. I knew they were small, but just the real size of them. So here's a quick clip of them next to an Irish Fancy which I've got, and just looking at the size difference between the two is that an Irish Fancy is quite a small bird, but these are a level down from the Irish, so they are really small birds. But there's something I've been interested in for a few years. And I think they're stunning birds as well, these little Razzas. The idea of having these guys is mainly, again, for the feeding ability. They're a small breed of canary. They're quite easy to get fit, quite easy to keep in that sense. But also, they're very similar in size to a red poll. So I imagine the chicks will be similar in size to a red poll. And the idea is that hopefully, by having them as smaller pairs of feed as well, they'll feed young red polls or even young hybrids like we might have off of the red poll bullfinch hybrid pair. And we'll just see how they get on. Fingers crossed that they all go well, but they're a lovely pair, so we'll be breeding them next year. Maybe we get into some more Razzas after we see how the next breeding season goes. But they're a lovely pair. Massive thank you to Paul for them, and hopefully you guys have enjoyed that. So now let's take a look at some of the birds which are in the native bracket. So next up is a really exciting bird for myself, and I've not had one of these before. I've been trying to get something very similar to this. I think it's a stunning bird anyway. So what this is a twite mule. Now I got this off of Alan Belsky. We've had some of Alan's birds. Last year we had a yellowhammer hen and a goldfinch cock, and I bumped into him at Newark, and he got a table. Came over and I saw this bird. Now I couldn't leave the bird on the table. It's an amazing looking bird. I really like this. Hopefully you do as well. I understand it might not be everyone's tastes. So we've got a twite mule. Now this is an over-year bird. I don't know if it's been colour fed. Not sure, to be honest. But it's just stunning. I think the markings on it are brilliant, and especially when it calms down. After settling down, it does need some steadying, but that's fine. That's something we can work on. The lacings on the flanks are superb. I'd say it shows more of the twite parentage in it than it does the canary. But something quite interesting and special with this bird is, although it is a twite mule, and I have had to check with Alan in case he messed up and accidentally sold me a twite, and if he had, brilliant for me, because I've been looking to try and get one for a while. But what's special about this bird is that, so Alan bred it last year and he had it in a flight this year with a couple of canary hens. In there was also, I believe, a lizard cockbird. Now, three young canaries were bred out of that flight, 2 which were heavily lizard markings, and there was one of them which was a blue bird, which didn't was a bit of something different, and Alan has told me that he's 99.9% sure that the father of that was actually the Twight mule. So we could possibly have a fertile Twight mule. That'd be amazing, because I don't know if that's ever happened before with a fertile Twight mule. But it's something exciting if not. So what we are going to do is, well, we've got a few spare canary hens anyway, which we would just be putting in a flight for the breeding season next year. So we're going to get him with one of those. We're going to get him paired up with one of those for next year, and we'll just try them. And if we get some youngsters out of them, fantastic. Yeah, that would be great, and we've got a fertile Twight mule. But if we don't, then we've got nothing lost. He'll either go in a flight, or we'll use the pair as another pair of feeders if we need them. But he's a stunning bird. I absolutely love it. We are going to be taking him to the shows, so you know, he'll be appearing at sometimes. I just think he's great, and I'd love to get him out, you know, a bit more show training to him, steady him down, and hopefully he'll make a really nice show bird. So behind me here is a really exciting bird that I managed to pick up, and I literally just dropped upon it at the show. I saw it and thought, that's amazing, never seen one before in captivity. So I spoke to the chap, and he gave it me for a price that I just couldn't resist getting it for. I think it's something that's never really been seen as a captive bird on the internet before, or at least on YouTube, probably on Facebook. So behind me we've got a reed bunting cock. Now, if you follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen a photo of this bird. And I put a really zoomed in photo, so you couldn't really make out what it was. I had several comments asking what it was, whether it is a black cap. Someone had suggested reed bunting, someone had said a mutation chaffinch. And we've got, you know, sort of other mule and hybrid suggestions, even Twight. So this is my male reed bunting. Now, like I said before, I got him for a price I couldn't resist for. What is the overall intentions with this bird? Well, I think really we're probably not going to be able to get a hen reed bunting for him. They're few and far between. They're harder to find than yellow hammers, and yellow hammers are not easy to come across. So, I mean, if you do have a reed bunting hen, drop me a message, Instagram, Facebook, drop me an email, and we'll try and make some arrangement. But I think the ultimate idea of having him is he's something different to look at. You know, unlike a lot of other birds, is something that you don't commonly see. This is the first one I've ever seen in captivity, and I managed to get him. So I was dead pleased with that. And I just think that having something like that, well, it's not always about it, if I'm going to breed off it, as much as I'd love to breed off it. If I can't, then not to worry. I have considered, well, it is a bunting, maybe we try a bunting hybrid if we get a yellow hammer hen, or, I mean, I could even try something else. We could get a pine bunting hen, we could get an ortolan bunting hen, corn bunting. I mean, I've never seen a corn bunting before in captivity either, and I think they're even rarer. I mean, snow bunting, I could try it, but either way, we've got a reed bunting cock, and it's a lovely bird. Again, something I'm thinking I'll take to the shows. I don't, you know, he's probably not going to do much. He might win his class at best, but the main idea of having something like that is that it's something else different on the show bench for people to see. Perhaps, like I know Shane has mentioned before in his videos on the bird room, is that it's something which, if a member of the public walks in, they might not always be interested in seeing a big row of greenies and a big row of red pods. They want to see the variety, and this is something that brings that variety. It's something that's not commonly seen. So the best I can do is just show it, and if it wins its class at best, then that's good enough for me. And I just think it's a lovely bird. We'll keep it out in a mixed flight probably throughout breeding season if we don't get a hen for it. If we do get a hen for it, I'm sure I'll be able to squeeze them in somewhere. But overall, it's a lovely bird. It does need a bit of steadying down, but he is actually a hand-reared bird as well. But he is is an over-year bird. I believe he's a 2020 bred bird as well. So massive thank you to the breeder. I believe it was Robbie. I would have to check. I'm trying to get hold of the guy, but massive thank you. It's a fantastic looking bird. I absolutely love it. I'm over the moon with it. So hopefully you guys like that. Drop your opinions in the comments below of his Razzas, the Twite Mule, and obviously the Reed Bunting. And I'd love to see your guys' thoughts. It's something different, something you've probably not seen before. So hopefully you're going to enjoy seeing them over the next next year or so when we're showing them, and then we take them into breeding season, whether it be the mule, whether it be the bunting, or whether it be the Razzas. So hopefully you've enjoyed looking at those birds. So now we're going to talk about the rest of the Newark show. It was a really good day. I think that on balance it was definitely better than Stafford, the Stafford National Exhibition for this year. There were a lot more traders, so many, every table was full, especially at the beginning. I was going to try and film a big video for you guys there, but it was so busy that you'd not been able to see much other than the back of people as they're looking at birds. But I have got you a few photos of some special little things that we saw. So I'd say that, especially for the native variety, it was fantastic. The amount of natives there, when we compared it to Stafford this year, was far better. I'd say it's mainly because with it being at the end of the month, the natives are ready then and breeders have selected through, whereas at the beginning of October it's a bit early for the natives. A lot of them aren't in show condition, even though this is just a sale, but also that means that a lot of breeders won't have sorted through the birds that they want to keep and what they want to sell by that point. So the amount of finches, well, as you saw, we've got a Reed Bunting, a Twite Mule, there was a lot of bullfinches, chaffinches, greenfinches in both mutations and normals. I saw some cinnamons, I saw some yellows, I saw some pied ones. I saw a real big variety of them. There were quite a few red poles as well, a lot of normals. There was a lot of mealy red poles. There were goldfinches. I saw some fantastic Chev goldfinches. They were beautiful birds, out of my price my price range completely, but nevertheless they were lovely birds. And then the softbills, I mean, I've never seen so many softbills in the same place. A friend of mine who I've been speaking to over the past few months, he took some missile thrushes. I didn't realise the size of them. They're massive, they're like chickens. It got blackbirds on there. There was a lot of mutation and normal starlings as well for other breeders. Well, there was again lots of different types of thrushes, Japanese thrushes. There were avocets, there were dunlins. I saw some dunlins. I should have took a photo. I didn't realise how sought after they were. I saw them and I didn't get a photo because it was quite crowded around then, so it's not appropriate to get one. Don't want to get in people's way. Well, it ended up where after mentioning it on one of the softbill sites on Facebook, everyone was going mad because there were dunlins, and I didn't realise how much of a big deal they were, but oh well, not much I can do from there. But the avocets were there. They were fantastic birds. There were stilts, there were there was so much. It was brilliant. There was widers, which are an exotic, I believe, an African species. They're like a finch with a really long tail. It was brilliant. I was really, really pleased with the day. Loads of birds on offer. Yeah, I would definitely recommend going, but both Stafford, but Newark as well, especially if you're a native bird man. And I mean, there was some a big variety of canaries as well, so I definitely recommend going to Newark. I believe the next show will be probably end of March in spring, so make sure you get yourself over there for that show, and it should be a really good one. Now, something I also bought from Newark, which isn't a bird, it's something that I didn't intend on buying, but I had looked into, and I was just unsure. So I went over to one of the stalls and they were selling seed winnowers, and these separate and clean your seed which you may have already fed to your birds. But as we know, with captive birds, they do tend to know they're going to get fed, so they'll eat the best seed and leave the stuff which they're not as keen on, or perhaps we've not given them enough time to eat everything. So we usually end up with a mix of seed where we've got some good seed and some seed husk. So I bought a seed winnower. Don't get me wrong, it was, it wasn't a cheap item at all, but I think, it's going to save me a lot of money in the long run. So I've filtered through a load of seed, which I've collected over the past 2 months, and I've got now, an extra bucket full of seed, which is all clean here. Perfect, nice clean seed out of that seed winnower. All you do is you put your seed in, which is from, your messy seed, your dirty seed. You put that in the seed winnower, and what happens is it's based on the weight of them. So you've got a fan at one end, and the heavy seed drops straight through and into a little chamber, whilst the light stuff and the seed husks is blown away by the fan and into a separate chamber, which you then remove. Cleans, filters your seed, it's perfect. So I think that's definitely something which I'd say is a bird room essential. Even though I've only just had it, I think it's going to save me an awful lot of money in the long run on seed, and it's just a really useful item to have. So I definitely recommend getting one if you haven't already. So this is something that was quite upsetting for myself, and annoying for the chap who it really directly affected. And it's something that we need to make everyone aware of. So maybe there could be done something about it. But I took a Siberian goldfinch cock who we had this year. We tried to breed some youngsters from. We got youngsters hatching, but we never got any to the sticks. The hens sadly passed in the molt, but we had the cock bird, and he was molted out a beautiful bird. He was an absolutely fantastic specimen. I loved that bird. I think it looked amazing, and I took it for my good friend who helped me, sorted me out with the bullfinches. So I took it for Ian, and I gave it him for a good price. He'd helped me, so I'm helping him. And it ended up where I gave him the bird, we transferred it, all went well into his cage, and he put his cage on his table. Now, Ian had his own table. He was there with his 5 canaries, and this was in the very end hall of the show, and it's on I believe the second to last row of tables at this point. And sadly, after I'd left the show, Ian was packing up his birds for what hadn't sold and removing that. And someone, and I'm not going to use some bad language, but someone who really has annoyed me and definitely has annoyed him stole the goldfinch. He believes it was probably someone had been watching. They'd seen this bird, this Siberian goldfinch, sat on his table. He got it right next to where he was sat. He believes someone possibly distracted him to talk about these birds that he was selling, while someone else nabbed the bird, and before he knew it, the bird was gone. And he'd not sure if he misplaced it, and then after realising what had happened, someone had stolen the goldfinch. So I don't think we're going to get that back. If you come across a goldfinch, a Siberian goldfinch cock, normal bird, I believe it's a black IOA ring, 2019, I believe it's 018 C ring. I think it's 018. I've got it down on my records as that, but I could have messed up, so I think it's that. Anyway, this bird got stolen, and it's a real shame, and I think it's something we need to make everyone aware of, is that something like that, is that someone's just literally gone past the table without him knowing, has taken the bird, stolen the bird, and then left before he even had a chance to realise it was gone. So I'd just say, if you are at these shows, well, try not to leave your birds unattended. I mean, he'd not even left it unattended, he'd just turned around and it was gone. So maybe just try and keep them always in your sights, or if there is something that's especially like that, well, I don't know, hide it under your table. But what do? You don't want to, it's really difficult, especially if you've got your birds on a table as well. Well, you can't take it back to your car, you can't do anything like that where it's safe. If you do put it under the table, could it go missing there? So it's one of those where you've got to make a judgment, and you just got to be careful. And sadly, that bird was stolen. There's not much we can do about it. I don't believe there's CCTV at the Newark showground there, and if there was, then would we be able to recognise the person who stole the bird? Well, probably not, which is a real shame, and just something for everyone to be aware of. So next time you do go to a show, make sure you don't leave your birds unattended, and just be cautious, because you don't want that to happen. I don't know if there's anything that could be done by the actual people who run the show. Perhaps perhaps, I don't know, maybe railings in front between breeders, buyers and the birds, so the only way that a bird can get to someone who's buying is by the breeder actually giving it to them. Maybe something like that, but then is that still a viable option? Well, I don't know. Maybe it's something that's to be discussed with the people who run the big shows and the big sale events like that, but it depends, whatever works. So sadly I've got to report that and just let everyone know. Hopefully the same doesn't happen for you, and you just keep on you know, just stay vigilant, be careful, and hopefully that never happens to you. Fingers crossed and touch wood it won't happen to me, and I hope it doesn't happen to you either, but just be cautious. So for next week's video, well, I've got the unveiling of the newly renovated flights, which are outside here. So you're going to see that next week. We've made, well, I think we've made a really good job of changing them up and making them exactly how I want them to be. And not only that, but looking a hell of a lot better than they previously did, and hopefully better for breeding as well, which you'll see in next week's video. So also, just something to let everyone know, we spoke about this in last week's video, but if you do want an OC Aviary merchandise t-shirt like this, drop me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or drop me an email. So not only have we got the classic OC Aviary design on black, we've also got 3 other designs. We've got an OC Aviary Bullfinch cartoon, we've got an OC Aviary Norwich Canary cartoon style, and we also have a cartoon version of the Fife Canary model. So if you want one of those, then just please drop me a message and we can talk about prices, sizes and everything like that. And just go on my Facebook and it's all on there on the OC Aviary Facebook page on the shop. We've got all those designs. We've got the bullfinches on a deep navy, and we've got the 2 canary breeds on a royal blue as well. So hopefully that, you know, you'll be finding that interesting. If you would like a t-shirt, drop me a message and we'll sort you out with one. So guys, well, that does bring me to the end of this week's video. So I hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you like the new birds that we've brought in. I certainly do, and we'll just have to see how we get on with them. We're going to be taking a few of them to the shows. I've sent off for my my places in the Lancashire show. I've got 22 birds entered. So if that's just me entering 22, well, make sure you enter quite a few as well, and let's try and make that a really big show for one of the first specialised British shows of the year since the last one stopped nearly 2 years ago. But anyway guys, thank you ever so much for watching the video. If you've liked and you wanted to see more, then smash the like button, subscribe down below, and I'll see you in the next video.